Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Karwa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, yes, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Just should we do more kirtan or you want class now? You want more kirtan? Huh? Anything's fine. Well, what time is it? Huh? सात मात्रा में बजा सकते हो? सात मात्रा? No? Okay. Jasomati Nandana Vrajavara Nagara Jasomati Nandana Brajavaranagar Gokularan Janakana Gokularan Janakana Gopi Paranadhana Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadhana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidhana Kaliya Damana Vidhana Vipina Purandara Navina Nagaravara Vipina Purandara Navina Nagadavara Vanshivadana Suvas Vanshivadana Suvas Brajajana Palana Asura Kulanashana Brajajana Palana Asura Kulanashana Vipina Yeah. Nanda Godhana Rakhoala Govinda Madhava Navanita Tasakara Govinda Madhava Navanita Tasakara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tata Chara Gopi Vasana Hara Yamuna Tata Chara Gopi Vasana Hara Siga Kripama Rasa Rasika Kripama Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natpara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natpara Bhakti Vinoda Shray Yashomati Nandana Brajaparo Nagara Yashomati Nandan Brajaparo Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Amala Hari Nama Miya Vilash Amiya Vilash Amala Hari Nama Miya Vilash Amala Hari Nama Miya Vilash Amala Hari Nama Miya Vilash Amala Hari Nama Amiya Vilash Amala Hari Nama Miya Vilash Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I go to Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan. Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Hey Lalita Vishakha, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishakha, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Yashodanandan Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarathari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarathari Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Pravijagacharya, Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaicharan Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Thakur Haridas Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Umanamayi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Rani Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Samstapak Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Go Premanande, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai, Shri Shri Lalita Vishakha Sahita Radha Shyama Sundar Ki Jai, Go Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. If it was Bangladesh, they would all go. I didn't have any particular topic in mind, but if anybody has anything that you want to hear about in particular, anybody? Yeah. So. Any questions anyone has? Vrindavan pastimes. Well, just look around. I was appreciating the artwork here. Okay, well, someone got Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, or maybe Krishna book, 10th canto.
something sequel in that.
So what?
Something similar question.
Okay.
Anything that highlights the difference between Radha Madan and Gopinath, or basically that someone Prayojan and
Well, you can have philosophy or you can have Leela, but it's not easy to mix them. But Prabhupada does very well, doesn't he? That's why I asked for Krishna book. Prabhupada said he's written it in such a way that no one cannot become a devotee by reading Krishna book. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, savior of the modern world. Nobody can do what Prabhupada did, nobody. I always like to highlight the fact that I had read many editions of Bhagavad Gita before I joined ISKCON, and I honestly have to admit that I didn't understand any of them. There's a reason for that. What's the reason? The publishers also didn't understand them. Evam parampara praptam. So we're very fortunate that we have this, parampara praptam, paramparagata, or as we say, and paramparik, and we have Krishna book. So, please repeat. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. While attempting to write this book, Krishna, let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Om Vishnupad 108, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the ocean of mercy, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, appearing in the role of a devotee just to distribute the highest principles of devotional service. Lord Chaitanya began his preaching from the country known as Gaudadesh, West Bengal, and as I belong to the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, I must therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the disciplic succession of that name. This Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is also known as Brahma Sampradaya because the disciplic succession originally began from Brahma. Brahma instructed the sage Narad, Narad instructed Vyasdeva, and Vyasdeva instructed Madhva Muni or Madhvacharya. Sri Madhavendra Puri, the originator of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, was a sannyasi renunciate who belonged to the Madhvacharya disciplic succession. He had many renowned disciples, such as Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri happened to be the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Ishwara Puri, Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Srivas Pandit, and Sri Gadadhara Pandit. Next, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Sarup Damodar, who acted as the private secretary to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and let us offer our respectful obeisances to Sri Vasudeva Datta and the constant attendant of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Govinda, and the constant friend of Lord Chaitanya, Mukunda, and also to Murari Gupta. And let us offer our respectful obeisances to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jeev Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. This is the opening paragraph of Srila Prabhupada's introduction to the Krishna book, and it's always auspicious to offer respectful obeisances unto one's predecessors. As somebody might have heard this Braj Doha. Bhakti Bhakta Bhagavanta Guru Chaturanama Vapu Ek Inake Pada Vandana Kiye Nashain Vikna Inek. Anybody heard this before? Those, I guess, old timers know it. Nowadays, everybody only knows C++. We don't read books anyway. We read Facebook, that's about it. I was in a garage in Los Angeles fixing an automobile one time, and the shopkeeper came and looked at me. He was just astonished. He said, you're reading a book. Enough said. Anyway, we're very fortunate to have these books. These books are worth reading, and it will do a lot better than any other books. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And let us observe here Srila Prabhupada's emotional ecstasy. He said these books are full of that, and we've just read one example. I don't know what kind of mood he was in, but for some reason he offered his respectful obeisances in great detail to all these great personalities who grace our lineage, Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. And through them we've received this Bhagavatam as it is, just as we've received Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, where to begin with Krishna book? Anybody have any suggestions? Which Leela? Damodar Leela? Akrura entering Vrindavan? Anything else? Don't be shy. Maybe you don't know what's in these books. You only read Facebook. So where does it talk about C++? All right. So there are many things that we can talk about here, but we'll go to page 276. This chapter is entitled Akrura's Arrival in Vrindavan. Chapter 38. Narad Muni, well, first of all, Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Madgavira Bigopala Swikuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaiva Sampaya Pitva Hrishyayus Tat Priyajanaha. Anybody understand that? Okay. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary on this 10th canto. He prays, "My dear Lord Gopal, only if you accept my words as your cows will they produce enough sweet milk to give satisfaction to your pure devotees. So we have to follow in his footsteps in that way. Narad Muni did not mention Krishna's killing Vyomasura, which means that he was killed on the same day as the Keshi demon. Prabhupada said, every day, Krishna and Balaram, don't forget, Balaram is also there. Is Sadhu Vrindavana here? He's great Balaram Bhakta. So, every day they were killing new demons, and sometimes they would come home with such wild stories that the elders didn't really believe them. The Keshi demon was killed in the early morning, and after the boys went to tend the cows on Govardhan Hill, it was there that Vyomasura was killed. Both demons were killed in the morning. Akrura was requested by Kamsa to arrive in Vrindavan by evening. Oh, just hearing this, it breaks the heart, isn't it? Akrura was requested by Kamsa to arrive in Vrindavan by evening. After receiving instruction from Kamsa, Akrura started the next morning via chariot for Vrindavan. Because Akrura himself was a great devotee of the Lord, while going to Vrindavan, he began to pray to the Lord. Devotees are always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, and Akrura was constantly thinking of Lord Krishna's what? Lotus eyes. Very good. Here's somebody who's reading something other than Facebook. He did not know what sort of pious activities he must have performed to gain an opportunity to go see Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram in Vrindavan on that day. A pure Vaishnava always thinks himself unfit to serve Krishna. So, Akrura began to think within himself that he was unfit for gaining the transcendental opportunity of seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He considered himself as unfit for seeing Krishna as a materialistic person is for understanding the science of God, or as a fourth-class person, a Shudra, is for studying the Vedas. But then Akrura began to think, by the grace of Krishna, everything is possible, and thus, if he likes, I will be able to see him. Just as a blade of grass floating on the waves of a river may by chance come near the shore and gain shelter, a conditioned soul carried away by the waves of material existence may sometimes be saved by the grace of Krishna. Everybody in this room has received this grace, and that's why we're in this room. Count your blessings, even though it's so terrible here in, where are we now, San Jose? In 2024, surrounded by so many demoniac ideologies and pungent vikarmic activities and anarthas and all kinds of antithetical elements. But we know about Krishna by the grace, by the divine grace of Krishna in the form of Srila Prabhupada. He took his time, even though he was also a busy grahastha like us. He took his time to prepare something to follow the order of his spiritual master, to share this knowledge with us. And that's why we're all sitting here. Very, very fortunate souls. So Akrura considered himself that if Krishna wants, he can give me this kind of divine grace also. So, Akrura considered himself most fortunate that he was going to see Krishna, whom great mystic yogis desire to see. He was confident that on that day, all the sinful reactions of his past life would be finished, and his fortunate human form of life would be successful. Akrura also considered that he was very much favored by Kamsa, who was sending him to bring back Krishna and Balaram, and thus enabling him to see the Lord. Akrura continued to consider that formerly great sages and saintly persons were liberated from the material world simply by seeing the shining nails of the lotus feet of Krishna. What does Rupa Goswami say about those nails? Does anybody know offhand? Nikhila Shruti Mauli Ratnamala Duty Nirajita Pada Pankajantam. Who's offering arati to those lotus toenails of Lord Krishna. All the Upanishads, all the Shruti Gana. Just like we have later on in the 10th canto, we have Shruti Stuti and Shruti Stuti Vakya, very important part of the Bhagavatam, very, very deep prayers. So they're worshipping those toenails. And so Akrura was thinking himself very fortunate that I may be able to see these lotus toenails, shining nails of the lotus feet of Krishna. He thought, that Supreme Personality of Godhead has now come just like an ordinary human being. It is my great fortune to be able to see him face to face. He was thrilled with the expectations of seeing the very lotus feet, which are worshipped by great demigods like Brahma, Narada, and Lord Shiva, which traversed the ground of Vrindavana and which touched the breasts of the gopis covered with tinges of kumkum. He thought, I'm so fortunate that I will be able to see those very lotus feet on this day, and certainly I shall be able to see the beautiful face of Krishna, which is marked on the forehead and the nose with tilaka. And I should also see his smile and his curling black hair. I can be sure of this opportunity because I see that today the deer are passing on my right side. If deer pass you on the right side, that's considered to be auspicious, according to Akrura. Today it will be possible for me to actually see the beauty of the spiritual kingdom of Vishnu Loka because Krishna is the supreme Vishnu, and he has advented himself out of his own goodwill. He is the reservoir of all beauty, and therefore today my eyes will achieve perfection. Raise your hand if you meditate on this when you go to the temple in Mountain View, California, and see the deity. Yeah, we're not so conscious, but when we go to Vrindavan, maybe we're a little bit, everybody remembers this particular story when we're coming close. First you see the sign, Koshi Kalan, 30 kilometers, and you're thinking, okay, the anticipation is building. And the really smart ones, when you get into the border of Braja, there's not really any border, but we call it that. They actually ask the driver, please stop the car. And they get out of the car and they touch that dust to their forehead. And very rarely they actually roll around in the dust. Sometimes devotees do this, the smart ones. So this is Akrura's anticipation. Akrura knew beyond a doubt that Lord Krishna is the supreme Vishnu. Lord Vishnu glances over the material energy, and thus the cosmic manifestation comes into being. And although Lord Vishnu is the creator of this material world, he is free by his own energy from the influence of the material energy. By his internal potency, he can pierce the darkness of this material energy. Similarly, Krishna, the original Vishnu, by expanding his internal potency, created the inhabitants of Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita, it is confirmed that the paraphernalia and the abode of Krishna are expansions of his internal potency. Where in Brahma Samhita does it say that? Anybody know? Huh? Everybody's going through the mental Rolodex. Huh? What happens after? Yes. Aage bolo. Tabhirya. Yes. Or maybe he has another verse in mind, but that one will do. All these Lakshmis, they're all expansions. This is an interesting point. I always like to quote this verse. Anybody may have heard it before, but it's worth repeating. Srishti sthiti pralaya sarga mahavibhute. Not the one you're thinking. Vritti prakasha niyamavrita bandha mokshaha. Yasya apanga lava matrata urjada sa shri yat kataksha balavati ajatam natosmi. Who wrote this verse? Madhvacharya. I think I quoted it last time I was here, actually. Now it's coming back to me. What does Lakshmi do? She affects all these things. Creation, sustenance, dissolution, srishti, sthiti, pralaya, sarga, the secondary creation as well, mahavibhuti, all the great wonders that exist. You've been to Redwood Forest here? Yeah. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's all coming from Lakshmi. Or when we see the beauty of the Pacific Ocean, vast ocean, we already heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the ocean of mercy. Just think about it. Indians never swim. So what happens when you get thrown into the ocean of mercy? You drown. You drown in divine grace. That's great. That's very fortunate, actually. To be unable to swim in the ocean of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is a great fortune. This is what we mean by nimajjam akhyapayantam. What is that? Iti driksva lilabhir ananda kunde. And that's just a little kunda, but this is the ocean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're all very fortunate. All right, where were we? We got really far off topics. Yeah, prayers. Madhvacharya prays like this. She's manifesting creation, sustenance, dissolution, the great wonders. Vritti is another one. Vritti what does vritti mean? Yeah, function. Your job. Anybody here work for Oracle? Amazon? Yeah. What else? What other countries are? I don't even know what. You all know. Yeah. Anyway, you know who you work for. That vritti is coming as a result of Mahalakshmi's grace. And prakasha. This is another thing that comes from Mahalakshmi. What does prakasha mean? Enlightenment. And niyama. What does niyam? Hindi or Braj we say nem. Yeah. Your discipline. If you can get up and chant your rounds, okay. That's Mahalakshmi's grace. Niyama, what is that? Vritti prakasha niyama avriti. What does avriti mean? Not avritti, avriti. It's, how about avarnam? Does that make more sense? Yes. If you're thrown into Maya, it's because you do not have her grace. You can read in the 6th book, I think, of the Vishnu Purana, Lord Indra is offering famous prayers to Lakshmi Devi there. And he says, you know, if we can get anything together, it's only by your grace. Indra also knows this. So certainly Madhva also knows this. So vritti prakasha niyama avriti, bandha moksha, your bondage, your liberation, these are coming from Lakshmi Devi. Yasya apanga lava matrata urjitasa, and not from her full blessings, but from her momentary, split-second sidelong glance. She just happens to look at you a little favorably. It's all done. All these things. That is the power of Mahalakshmi. Just consider. And so he's offering his obeisances unto the Ajita, Supreme Lord, who is unconquered. Yasya apanga lava matrata urjita sa shrir yet kataksha balavati ajitam natosmi. Now, why is he saying Ajita? The Supreme Lord Vishnu is not conquered. What's he implying here? By it spends the majority of the verse glorifying Lakshmi Devi, but then he finally at the and obeisance to Vishnu. What is he implying there? He's implying that Shripati is nothing without Shri. Hena? So this internal potency is the real thing. And Ajita, he's not conquered because who cannot conquer him? Who cannot conquer him? Shri cannot conquer him. She can't do it. Anyone been to Bilvavan, or better known as Shrivan in Vrindavan? Right across from ISKCON, if you go to the Yamuna, just walk across, you can do it. And then keep going about a mile. There's a famous old temple of whom? Lakshmi Devi. That's why they call it Shrivan. Because one day, this is a story, I don't know if I've told it here or not, but I like to tell this story because it's so nice. Lakshmi Devi was sitting at the side of her husband in So she asked Lord Narayan, where's this music coming from? This flute playing. Who's playing flute like this? And Narayan said, oh, it's nothing, not important. It's some boy in the material world. He's playing flute. And Lakshmi Devi's more smarter than that. She said, it's not just anybody, any cowherd boy can play a flute and it's going to get to Vaikuntha, so there's got to be something, what's going on here? And Lord Narayan started to get a little uncomfortable because he didn't really want to explain too much. So he said, yeah, it's one of my forms. You can, maybe Nada knows something about it. Wrong advice. Because we all know what happens when you go to Narad Muni. Narad Muni always likes to stir up the pot, right? So Narad Muni told Vishnu's wife, your husband, this is what your husband is doing. All these hundreds of girls, and he's in the midst of them, and he's playing the flute, he's enchanting them. In fact, that's how he calls them to come and meet him in the middle of the forest at night. Your husband, this is what he's doing. And Lakshmi, obviously, by this point, Lakshmi is extremely interested, right? She's extremely, in curiosity, she's got to know what's happening here. So she said, okay, I've got to go and see this. Narad Muni said, okay, you go to Vrindavan, there's Nithivan is there, there's a Vanshivat is there, that's like the epicenter of everything in Vrindavan. He just gave the whole thing, just, let the cat out of the bag, as they say. And so then she went there, and she tried to get into the entrance of this kunj there, but who stopped her? There are two gopis on either side of the gate, and they said, no, you cannot come in. She's, obviously she's a shining goddess, Mahalakshmi. I'm the personal consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They said, we don't care who you are. Unless you have Radharani's permission, you're not coming in this kunj. Just see these girls. They're simple daughters of the cowherd men. Just like, what is that, Ras Khan? Anybody know this Braj poet named Ras Khan? He was actually a Muslim, but he wrote some wonderful Krishna poetry. So he said, let me see if I can remember. Sesa Ganesa Dinesa Mahesa Suresa Hujahi Nirantara Gave. Kaise? Adi, Anadi, Ananta, Akhanda, Acheda, Abheda, Subeda Batawe. Narad son Sukha Vyasaratai, Pachihari Tau Puni Parana Pave. Tahi Ahira Kicho Hariyan, Chachiabhari Chachape Nachin Chawe. Those, not so many people are Hindi speakers, it seems. How many people understand Hindi here? But this is Braj. This is old Hindi. Yeah. We don't say son anymore, right? We say se. Narad se, Sukhavyasa. Anyway. So it means that Shesha, Ganesha, Dinesha. Who's Dinesha? The sun. Because there's no day without him, right? Therefore, Dina Isha. Dinesha. Suresha, who's the Lord of the Suras? Indra, yeah. Suresha, Huja. Yeah, Ganesha, all these others. So they're all glorifying him, singing his glories. What are they saying? And what are the Upanishads saying? How do they know him? What do they call him? Adi, Anadi, Ananta, Akhanda, Acheda, Abheda, Subeda Batawe. The Vedas are also glorifying in this way. Narada San Sukha Vyasaratai, Shukadev Goswami, Vyasadev, his father, they got this all from Narad Muni. And since time immemorial, they're trying to understand the furthest extent of this deity's glory, and they cannot, punipana pave, they can't reach the limit of his glory. Parantu. Tahi ahira kicho hariyan, these girls, daughters of cowherd men, they're just village girls. They can make the Supreme Personality of Godhead dance when they order. Krishna, dance. He'll do it. We'll give you a little bit of touch if you dance. And he does it. He starts to stamp his little lotus feet. What happens when Krishna dances in the dust of Braj? What kind of marks does he leave there? The flag and the thunderbolt and all the elephant goat and all these lotus, everything is there. Bilvamangala Thakur says, Maninu Puravachalam Pangum Langhayate. What is that? Maninu Puravachalam Vande Tacharanam Vibhoho Lalitani Yadiyani Lakshmani Vrajavitisho. He says, we offer our respectful obeisances unto the footpaths of Vrindavan, because in the dust of those footpaths we find the impressions of these lotus feet. So these girls, they have such power over Krishna that if they promise him, or as Bhagavatam says, little piece of sandesh, then he'll just do anything. Rup Goswami also says in his Padyavali that the gopi says, show us your nose, and he'll go like this. Where are your eyes? Where's your stomach? He'll point here, right? And wherever they told him, tatra tatra nihitangulidalo, ballavi kulam anandayat prapuhu. In this way, he was delighting these cowherd women. Anyway, we're making a long diversion here, but the point is that Lakshmi Devi, she cannot get into this Ras Leela. She cannot really understand that much about Vraja Leela because the gopis, it's a private affair. And this is why Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in his commentary on Krishna Karanamritam, he says, when we hear the word Jayashri in the first verse of Krishna Karanamritam, that refers to Srimati Radharani. She is Shri. She's also Shri. But she's Jayashri. The other one is not Jayashri. She cannot conquer Vishnu, according to Madhvacharya. But this boy, this cowherd boy, he can conquer even. He's not conquered by Lakshmi Devi, but somebody can conquer him. Who is that? Jayashri, Srimati Radharani. That's why we say Jayashri Krishna. Even the Pushti Marga said this, right? Jai Shri Krishna. Or even better yet, Jai Shri Radhe in Vrindavan, everybody says. Because we like to take shelter of the feminine. And especially the men. The men are kind of retarded emotionally. I mean, everybody knows that, the men are just, they're, in certain ways, they're dense. So they don't get, women, you don't even have to say anything. They already know it, isn't it? They have this intuition that's famous. Anyway, somebody's going to call me a sexist or something. After all, this is the Bay Area, right? Yeah, so anyway, so this is Jayashri. She's so powerful that she has the Lord under her beck and call, as Prabhupada says. And this is why we worship her. So she told her girlfriends, you don't let anybody here without my permission. And even Mahalakshmi couldn't get in. So she went back to Narad Muni. She said, hey, I did what you said. They don't let me in. I told them I'm Mahalakshmi. They don't care. These little girls. So Narad Muni, oh yeah, that happens. So then he said, well, maybe he's just trying to be sympathetic at this point because Narad knows the absolute truth. He knows there's no way she's going to get it. It's not possible. But he's trying to be, he's trying to humor her or something. So he says, okay, well, maybe just you have to do some austerities or something. And maybe just, maybe then, here's what you do. You set up across the river a little distant, and you just, do intense bhajan and intense tapasya. And then, you pray that maybe Krishna will come and reveal himself. So Mahalakshmi did that. Mahalakshmi. Lakshmi sahasra shata sambhrama sevyamanam. What does it mean? Sambhrama sevyamanam. Means they're all ast-vyast, running around, doing anything and everything that Lord wants in Vaikuntha. And so many expansions of Mahalakshmi. They can cook better than anyone you can imagine. The beauty is beyond your imagination. I mean, every opulence, they have it. But they cannot control Krishna, even by all that. So the person who's in control of them, the source of all this, she herself is sitting in the thorns and the dust of Bilvavan. It's called Bilvavan because it used to be many Bilva trees there. Bilva. And yeah, maybe there's still some. It's mostly thorns and dust there. And she's sitting there. And at this point, Krishna, he's seeing that she's not becoming discouraged. That's why Lord Narayan didn't want to talk about it in the beginning. He was afraid something like this might happen. Now he's got a problem. So Krishna, what to do? This is my wife after all. He's got a dharma to perform. So he came incognito in his Krishna form, which she still hasn't seen yet. So she doesn't know what he looks like. So she sees her husband, but she sees that he's an ordinary cowherd boy. By the influence of Yoga Maya herself has covered everything up. She does this. That's another example where this happened. Anybody know from Bhagavatam? When Krishna showed the entire cosmic manifestation within the mouth of Mother Yashoda, the picture is here. The commentators say this was not at Krishna's behest, and it was not certainly Mother Yashoda didn't ask for this either. So who did this? This was Yoga Maya's independent initiative she took, because she knows what is going to heighten the Leela and give pleasure to Krishna. She did it. You have that power also. Somebody has that power innate within us. If we develop our bhakti to that extent, this is the meaning, that he's conquered by love. Bhaktair jitatvam. You wanted to hear, right? Damodar Leela. This is the whole point. Iti driksvalila bhirananda kunde swagosham nevajjantam akhyapayantam. Akhyapayantam means who is he telling? He's announcing boldly. To whom? Tadiyeshita gneshu. To those persons who only know his Aishwarya. To those persons he's telling that, Baba, bhaktair jitatvam. You're not going to get me except through bhakti. And whoever has the most bhakti, they win everything. So Mahalakshmi went back to Narad Muni. Narad Muni told her to do this austerity. She's sitting there and Krishna's feeling guilty because he's got to do something about it. So he comes. He offers to help. First of all, he sent his cowherd boyfriends. He was trying to avoid at all costs a personal face-to-face, lest she didn't want him to recognize her. So he told his friends, at least you go build her some jhompari or something, thatched, something. She should not be sitting in the dust only. Sun burning overhead. What is that they say? Dhoop mein bal safed ho jaye. So, and in the winter it's freezing cold, and my God, is it cold in Vrindavan in the winter. I have to go to South India every winter because I just can't handle it. So cold. And she's sitting out there doing austerities. So at least, build her some little chulha and some, thatch hut, And, so they did that, but she's still doing intense austerities. And so then Krishna himself came. Pujari told me this. I don't know, where these stories come from, but the Pujari told me that Krishna himself came and, he was maybe feeling pinched in his heart. So he called her Mata. That's a really strange rasa, isn't it? I don't know how to figure this out. He calls her Mata. And he offers to help her in any way. He starts cooking. He makes khichdi for her there. That's why if you go to this temple, they have a big festival every winter in January, and they just, the prasadam is not opulent. The prasadam is only khichdi, because she's supposed to be performing austerities, and khichdi is supposed to be austere. So, Krishna does that. And to this day, 5,000 years later, Mahalakshmi is still there, and she's still performing austerities, and she still has not entered the Ras Leela. But she still hasn't given up. Think about it. Think about it. And who's another one who does like this in Vrindavan? Shiva, yeah. I was thinking of a south tip of Govardhan. Who lives there? Lota Baba. Yes. So he's the same thing, same mood. They don't give up. Even Shakespeare said, what is that? Let not the marriage of two minds admit impediments. He says, he says the same thing. I forget the poetry, but love is not love if it fails, right? So she's doing this. So we can learn from that, because we have the tendency that, I've been chanting for 10 years now, and I still haven't seen, Radha Krishna. So, we have to be very patient. To be patient is one thing, but to be patient and determined at the same time, that's pretty hard. That's very hard. And, patient, what is the other one? Utsaha nishchayad dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrittehe. All these 6 things, to do all of them all at once and to keep doing them for 5,000 years, if need be. That requires divine grace. Most of us don't have a strong desire. We were discussing this verse on the way here. Manushyanam sahasreshu. This is why, because we're just not that interested. Unfortunately, we just can't see anything because we're manda sumanda mati in Kali Yuga. Anyway, so how do we get on this topic? How do we get? Yes, okay. Yeah. Prabhupada writes here, then Brahma Samhita has confirmed that everything is coming from this same internal potency Krishna exhibits in Golok Vrindavan is exhibited in the earthly Vrindavan, where he enjoys himself and with his parents, and in the company of his friends, the cowherd boys and gopis. By the statement of Akrura, it is clear that since Krishna is transcendental to the modes of material nature, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who are always engaged in loving service to the Lord, are also transcendental. Akrura also considered the necessity of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. He thought that the transcendental activities, instructions, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna are all for the good fortune of people in general. What is it for the good fortune of people in general? The transcendental activities, instructions, qualities, and pastimes. And all of them are in these books. Srila Prabhupada ki. The people can remain constantly in Krishna consciousness by discussing the Lord's transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, and paraphernalia. By doing so, the whole universe can actually live auspiciously and advance peacefully. But without Krishna consciousness, civilization is but a decorated dead body. A dead body may be decorated very nicely, but without consciousness, such decorations are useless. Human society without Krishna consciousness is useless and lifeless. They don't know that. After experience, then you know it. It takes experience. What does it say in the beginning of the Bhagavatam before he really begins speaking the real gist of the message? He offers his obeisances unto whom? Sutta Goswami offers obeisances to whom? Yes. What does he say? Yes, swanubhavam akhila shruti saram ekam. What does that one line mean? Yah swanubhavam akhila shruti saram ekam. The one essence in all the Vedic literatures is personal experience. You don't know anything. To talk about, we mentioned the other night, we can talk hypothetically about how to die, right? People do this all the time. Even in our classes we do this. But when you have to face it, my godbrother said, it's one thing to talk about being electrocuted, it's another thing to hold a wet knife in a socket. Very different experience, you see? So, yeah, this is the thing. A person who has experience, he can understand Krishna consciousness, and a person who hasn't experienced it will never get it even if he tries. Where is this? In Bhagavad Gita chapter 15. Anybody know? Yatanto yoginashchainam pashyanti atmani avastitam yatanto prakatatmano nainam pashyantya chetasaha. The people who are not conscious means not conscious of Krishna. They may try to imagine Krishna consciousness, but for them it's just like some, Some phantasmagoria, Prabhupada uses that word. Imaginary thing, they think. Fictitious, mythology is another one. What's the next verse after that? Huh? No, the one before that then. Anyway, the idea is that it's like this. If you get up in the early morning, if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra with attention at that time, if you sing in Guru Puja, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya, Arana Karihimanyasha, and you actually follow the instruction of what you're singing and actually read Prabhupada's books every day. You take only prasadam, you worship the deity. In other words, you follow the 5 main aspects of devotional service that Rupa Goswami outlines for us. You get a different result than people who don't do that. It's very clear. But it's only clear to those who do it. It's not clear to those who don't do it. They think, and these guys are also, they're just, they must have some mundane motivation. Isn't that what the Kanishta Adhikari thinks? He thinks everybody's in Maya. There's no such thing as Krishna consciousness, because his faith is that weak. But Krishna says, no, it's not like that. If you act on this knowledge, then you realize this knowledge. And that is the only way to realize this knowledge. Swanubhavam. Very, very important. So he was Akrura thought that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has now appeared as one of the descendants of the Yadu dynasty. The principles of religion are his enacted laws. That's another thing. You can't just dismiss the principles of religion because they're mundane. Shoes are also mundane. But every one of us has shoes, right? Eating is also eto bahya, right? Eating is also external thing. But we don't give up eating for that reason, right? So dharma is also like this. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is, the Krishna comes here, yada hi dharmasya glanir, tadatmanam shajamyaham. Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanartaya. That's his artha. So it is important, even though it's secondary, it is very important, we were discussing, because yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tehi dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dhrಢavrtaha. If you want to worship Krishna with firm determination, you want to sustain a mature commitment to pure devotional service, or as Prabhupada so often says, transcendental, loving service, then you have to be fixed in piety. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. And most people leave for that reason. Krishna gives the stats in chapter 7. What are they? Manushyanam, we quoted already. So, 1 out of a million, basically. Not because, you lack some adhikar, because Krishna says if you're lacking something, but you're trying, then I give you the adhikar. Does he say this? Yes. Yoga kshemam vahami. So the reason that people lack, and the reason people don't become Krishna conscious, and the reason that it's 1 out of a million only, is because we're just not that interested. We're not that into Krishna. That's all there is to it. Tamal Krishna Goswami, we were discussing the other night, he was expert at making people come to this realization that it's me. The problem is me, actually. And that once a person's anarthas are separated from that person, and his intelligence is isolated and cornered in this way, you have to surrender to Krishna, and that's generally what they did. You just realize that there's only one thing that I can do without being thoroughly, just rascal, and that's that I have to surrender. Anyway, so Akrura is making, therefore, this strong statement. Human society without Krishna consciousness is useless and lifeless. It sounds fanatical to an outside person who is not following, as we've discussed already. But to a person who's following, yes, on the basis of their swanubhava, they realize, yeah, this is true, it's a fact. It's simply true. So, he thought, that Supreme Personality of Godhead has now appeared, Krishna, as one of the descendants of the Yuddha dynasty. The principles of religion are his enacted laws. Those who are abiding by such laws are demigods, and those who are not abiding are demons. Where does this stated? Anybody know the verse I'm thinking of? It's sort of like that, but that's not exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Asuras tad viparyaya. Vishnu bhakta sprato daiva. Asuras tad viparyaya. What are the other two lines? Oh, come on, help me out. I have an excuse. I'm 65. Okay, what's the 16th chapter verse that you're thinking? It's not there, no. Dvaubhuta sargo loke smin. Asuram suram evacha. Vishnu bhakti smrito daiva asuras tad viparyaya. This is Vishnu Purana, actually. But the principle is there that, this is what Prabhupada has just said. Demon means he's not a devotee of Vishnu. And Sura or demigod means he is a devotee of Vishnu. We were discussing this the other night also. So, he has advented himself to give protection to the demigods who are very obedient to the laws of the Supreme Lord. The demigods and the devotees of the Lord take pleasure in abiding by the laws of Krishna. And Krishna takes pleasure in giving them all sorts of protection. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, these activities of Krishna, his protecting the devotees and killing the demons, are always good for men to hear and narrate. The glorious activities of the Lord will ever increasingly be chanted by the devotees and demigods. What is the time and when are we supposed to end? Because, we're just only, I think, one page into this. And we've got 1, 2, 3, at least three more pages to go. The time is now? 8:30. Oh, and you all have to work in the morning. Okay, so tell me what to do. You're the host, you decide. Huh? Another 15, 20 minutes? Yeah. Everybody's okay with that? All right, good deal. Then Akrurasat. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the spiritual master of all spiritual masters. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. And he's the deliverer of all the fallen souls and the proprietor of the three worlds. All these things, we know the verses if we're reading, isn't it? What are the verses where they're confirmed? Well, yeah, it's obvious. We know because we're experiencing, right? No experience? We don't realize. Anyone who is able to see him by eyes smeared with love of Godhead enjoys a festival of seeing. This is a nice chance to say one of my favorite verses. Prataha smarami. What does it mean? Early in the morning, I meditate. And on whom do we meditate? Prataha smarami dadhi ghosha vidhuta nidram. That person whose sleep is broken by what sound? Dadhi ghosha, the sound of churning butter. What is that sound? They've all got these churiyan on their arms, right? The gopis. And when they're churning, it's back and forth motion. It's ching, 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 ching. And then they just add, that's the kartals, right? Then they just add the holy names. Which holy names do they add? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, ityadayaha. So, then, so Krishna's sleep is broken by this kirtan, loving kirtan of the gopis. They're not forcing themselves to chant. They're not forcing themselves to get up like we have to do. They can't wait to get up. When they think even of waking him up, they just think of the bed and there's a little lump under the covers and they get so ecstatic. They can't wait. So then they're singing these glories, and Krishna hears this. And Krishna says, my gopis. And he also wants to get up. The love is so strong, the attraction is so strong, it's irresistible at both sides. That's real love. And we don't have any experience of love in this. We're not real, not like that. We don't have it. Love that can make all of your arms and legs separate from your limbs, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I mean, that's Mahabhava maybe, but Sirdhi, that we have the innate capacity to really love, but we double click on it. And, we just try to fill our heads with so much exploitive rascaldom instead. And then we come and hear the 10th canto and we get something out of it, maybe. But anyway, so today I shall be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what he's thinking. Who by his transcendental beauty attracted the goddess of fortune to live with him perpetually. As soon as I arrive in Vrindavan, I will get down from this chariot and fall prostrate to offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord, the master of material nature and all living entities. Just like when in Vrindavan, I live in Vrindavan, what are the houses made out of in MVT? Does anybody know? What kind of bricks? Huh? Red bricks. Okay, that's the color. What is the nature of those bricks? Clay. Okay. Anybody else? Cow dung? Anybody else have any ideas about this? Cement? What about from the ladies? Anything? That is not your domain. You can ask them cooking questions. Actually, Brahma Samhita tells us what the MVT houses are made out of. Chintamani. They're all made out of Chintamani. And outside of my front door, there's a champa tree. How do you call champa in Tamil? Champa? All same. Okay. Yeah, we don't have tuberose, but that's Sampangipu, right? Yeah. Anyway, so the champa tree. But what kind of tree is that? It's not just a champa tree. What is the nature of that tree? Kalpa vriksha tree. All of them are like that. I wanted to move to MVT, and that's a tough thing, especially now. I think it's nearly impossible because they told me, the managers told me there's a waiting list. They're giving preference to Prabhupada's disciples, and that list itself is 50 people long. And there's only about maybe just a few more than 50 apartments there. Almost impossible to get in. So I knew it was a tough job. What did I do? First of all, we prayed to Srimati Radharani, of course. But then, I went to every single tree in that complex and I bowed my head in the dust of those trees and I begged them that please give me a place to stay here. And the cow is also there, Saraswati. Now she's moved back. She used to be living in MVT. Everybody know Saraswati, the cow? Big white cow? Big Mama Saraswati. She's moved back to the Goshala because she's old now. But what kind of cow is she? Kamadhenu. So I asked her also, and what about the dust? What kind of dust is that? Chintamani prakata sadmasu kalpa vriksha lakshavrateshu surabhir abhipalayantam. And what is the dust? The dust is also Chintamani dust. Better than gold dust. So you put that dust on your head. These three things, they have the potency to fulfill any desire you have. See, be careful what you desire. Really, because you desire the wrong thing, it can, what is the nature of happiness in the mode of passion? In the beginning, it's very sweet. I got it. But what happens then? Yeah, it turns to poison later. That's passion. It's like that. Ignorance means you can't even get off the ground. You're suffering now or you're suffering later. But sattvic happiness means it's a little tough in the beginning, but it becomes so sweet later on. So anyway, first thing when I come out of my house every morning, that Chintamani Prakara Sadma, then I also take some dust on my head and remember what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said. Third verse of his Vrindavan Ashtakam. Anybody know that? Yeah, it's a little esoteric. He said, Yatradhipatyam Vrishabhanuputriya Yeno Dayet Prema Sukham Jananam Yasmin Mamasha Balavati Atosmin Mamastu Vrindavana Eva Vasaha. He says, that place where Srimati Radharani is firmly established as the supreme monarch, the supreme queen of Vrindavan. And that place wherein all the residents, they have a natural ecstasy and loving mood for Krishna. And that place where my own strong hope, asha, resides, may that Vrindavan only always be my residence. By Srila Prabhupada's grace, we have this opportunity. So, Akrura is very ecstatic at the thought of entering Vrindavan. And he's bowing his head, we'll see, in the dust of Vrindavan. And he's just the thought of entering Vrindavan, he's so overwhelmed. Maybe it's been 10 or 15 minutes. We should stop. Anybody have any questions or any comments? Yes.
Prabhu, I wanted to ask, Akrura, when he's going, he knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God and he's free. But how does he know? Like, how does he know that Krishna
He's a devotee. You can't hide Krishna from a devotee unless Yogamaya decides to make it impossible for you to see. So yeah, he's a devotee. The devotees who don't live in Vrindavan, they have gyan. They know that he's a devotee. Even Vasudeva and Devaki, they knew that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It's only in Vrindavan that Yogamaya is so powerful there, her influence, that she covers everybody's vision. Only so that they can relish the ecstatic bliss of this love of Godhead. And that they can thereby give so much more ecstatic bliss to Krishna also. And they compound each other. The bliss is compounded and mutually increases each other's ecstasy. This is all Yogamaya's doing. So there's another verse in Rupa Goswami's Pajavali. He says that there are many times that devotees of Krishna, they're very ardently worshiping the Lord for the fulfillment of some desire, and the Lord doesn't fulfill it. He doesn't have to. It's not like, you bring some bhoga and place it in front of the deity and ring a bell and say some mechanical prayers. It's not guaranteed that he's going to eat it. If he wants to, he'll eat it. Even on Facebook, this is what we all know, right? Facebook. You get a friend request, you push the later button. You don't have to do it, right? So, but if you pray intensely, like Rupa Goswami mentions also in his Pajavali, that just like the cowherd girls are offering their sweets to the Lord, just as Mother Yashoda is giving her own breast milk to the Lord, just as the cows are giving their milk to the Lord, just as Sudama is giving this chipped rice in his hand to the Lord, just as the wives of the Yajnik Brahmins are giving their foodstuffs to the Lord, in real love. They wanted to have some exchange of real love. When we're on that level, that we have that interest in what we're doing, then we can begin to appreciate. And so Rupa Goswami prays in this way, may you also accept my offering as well. Even though it's just made out of these inferior material ingredients, but the love is there. That's what Krishna is interested in. So if we don't have love, then Krishna doesn't have to fulfill our prayers. So then it goes on to say, but if you just stay for some time, even for a short time, even for one day in Vrindavan, then without even considering this person has done any bhajan or not, you're going to get love of Godhead by Vrajadevi's grace. Can you imagine that mercy? So, Akrura, he's conscious of the Lord. All of us are conscious. We also have knowledge of the Lord. But when we really advance very deeply in bhakti, then that knowledge can be removed by Yogamaya's grace. And that's when the bliss takes over. The knowledge becomes a little bit less and the madhurya increases. Aishwarya decreases, Aishwarya Gyan, and the madhurya increases. And that's when we become overwhelmed, like these devotees you see in all these pictures here. Anything else?
And then why does he change during the Shamantaka jewel pastime?
Yes, this is a good question. You know what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says about this? Somebody must know this. Akrura, Gopi Pranadana told me, and it has since been confirmed by my own personal experience. He said that I have never seen any instance in the commentaries on the Bhagavatam of our acharyas in which they say anything positive about Akrura. Either it's neutral or it's negative. And the explanation is that these acharyas, they themselves they're not impartial. They are participants in this Leela. They are these girls who, Akrura came in, they can't recognize that he's got any worth at all. They just can't do it. And even they're playing as the part of acharyas, it's just too strong for them to, So he explains, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, for our benefit, just so that we can get a clue as to what's going on here, that Akrura, this was kind of like an offense to the gopis. I mean, he really, not exactly an offense, but he really, really, really displeased them. And they have not stopped blaming him ever since 5,000 years. That's what happened. It's kind of like Saubhati Rishi. He committed some offense, and for that reason he had to get married. And, So this is another lesson that for all of us that, be careful. Especially on this path of Raja Bhakti that is taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's being given for free, but in some sense there is a very high price for this. Otherwise you may get kicked out. And that's back to the Manushyanam Sahasreshu principle. Even if we have a strong desire, what to speak of if we're not motivated? Even if we are very motivated, if we're not careful what we're doing and pay attention and have empathy, this is the main thing, then it can happen to us as well. That's why these examples are there. Bhagavatam is full of examples. That's why it's called Bhagavata Purana. It's not Bhagavat Purana, right? If it was Bhagavat Purana, what would it mean? It is the Purana about the Lord. But this is Bhagavata Purana. It's about the devotees. They're the focus of this book. And it's not just the perfect devotees like the gopis, but it's also the imperfect devotees. Like, I don't want to say someone's imperfect, but there are examples of mistakes that we should not emulate in the Bhagavatam as well. So, is that answering your question? Away in the back?
Prabhuji, does Yogamaya exist in spiritual world also for exchange of love and Krishna?
Yeah, everybody heard the question? Does Yogamaya exist in the spiritual world for the rasa there? There's only Yogamaya in the spiritual world. It's kind of like this. This is an ironic thing. You have to listen carefully now, because just consider, this world is predominated by atheism or godlessness in general, correct? Yes. Everybody's covered by Mahamaya. That's safe to say, pretty much. Some people have an idea of Yogamaya, like us. We may not be completely absorbed in yoga, but we have some idea that there's something called Yogamaya, and we're trying to strive for that. Now, in the spiritual world, it's exactly the opposite of that. There, everybody is completely overwhelmed by Yogamaya, and they have some conception that there's such a thing as Mahamaya, but they don't really understand it. So this Yogamaya is just meant to accentuate the ecstasy that exists by nature in Krishna's eternal pastimes. And Mahamaya, if Mahamaya were to intrude into that spiritual, it would just mess up everything. So Mahamaya keeps a respectful distance. She's not allowed. So yeah, there's only Yogamaya. It's really an ironic situation. And what makes it even more ironic is that in the spiritual world also, just like in this world, people who are really, really deeply religious, they're not that many, isn't it? So in the spiritual world also, that people, they go to the temple just like we go to the temple, but it's not the main focus of their life. I mean, Lakshmi Narayan, they worship. They don't, because of Yogamaya, they don't even understand that Krishna is God or who Radharani is. They don't know anything. But they know that Narayan is the Supreme Lord, and they all worship Narayan, but they worship him as negligently as we do in this world. But for the opposite reason, because they're not conditioned by Mahamaya, they're conditioned by Yogamaya. Is it clear to everyone here? It's not so easy to understand this, but by experience we get a glimpse of it. So, this is the great wonder of spiritual life. And Yogamaya, this is the glory of Yogamaya. It is so much bliss just to understand this. It makes one very, very happy. Anything else? Okay. Yes?
You mentioned about Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. You had mentioned about how devotees need to have enthusiasm along with patience, which Rupa Goswami mentions. Sometimes in our spiritual practice, when we see that we don't get any experience.
Association. That's the answer to your question. You need more association.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enough said. You want to continue? Aage bola?
No, I was.
Okay.
No, my
So you're satisfied.
I was just thinking, since we are on the path, we don't see the results. I mean, essentially, we can't experience. We don't have the experience.
Okay.
At the same time, we also are told that they have to have enthusiasm along with patience.
Yes.
Is there
There's no shortcut to austerity. Austerity means you don't want to do it. Penance, tapasya means it's not pleasing. Otherwise, it's not tapasya, correct? If you like it, it's not tapasya. So, this is the irony of our situation. We are in that uncomfortable, gray area between total Mahamaya, in which you're just a blissful, ignorant fool, or as they say in Tamil, what is it? Mutal adu, right? Mutal adu. Yeah, mutal. Yeah, clueless goat. When you're totally in Maya, Mahamaya, and you don't know anything about those people, they think they're happy. They're not really happy, but they have this, Bhagavatam says this, 2 kinds of people are happy in this world. Somebody who's a complete idiot and somebody who's totally self-realized. Everybody else, we feel the pain. Now I've lost my train of thought. But what was the question again? Yeah. So what, in effect, you're asking, is this austerity ever going to be easy, right? No, it's not. There was a Hindi poem. One modern Hindi author, he wrote a poem called Agni Desh. This is like long ago, not recent. This is maybe 70, 80 years ago. And so he's describing all this, flaming hot, conflagration, very, the hot cinders blowing through dry air, smoke in your eyes, and just, hellish, burning place. And you're walking through it, and he's asking the question, is there ever going to be a time that I have cool, clear water to dive into and drink deep and feel some relief from these burning hot pain and blasting winds and furnace-like conditions? And the answer is no. So then what's going to happen? You get relief only when you become fire. I don't know what that poem meant to the author, honestly. I don't know. But, I immediately saw this connection with, sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is artificial. I mean, you have to admit, it's a pain. To do sadhana bhakti, it's a hassle. That's why nobody wants to take it up. It's a shreyas versus prayas thing, right? Everybody likes the short-term immediate happiness. Nobody likes the pain that is required. My Sanskrit professor at the University of Washington used to say, no pain, no gain. So, you know, in this period when we're just aspiring sadhakas, it's always going to be difficult. And the only way that you can, you know, relieve that pain of performing sadhana is to just push harder and not give up. As we've already described, Rupa Goswami has given us all the tools that we need. There are 6 of them. What are they? We've mentioned already. Anybody? Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya, Tattat Karma Pravartana, Sangatyaga, and Satovriti. That's all. And it's hard to do that. I mentioned already, it's hard to do all 6 of those things all at once and to persevere at it. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, we discussed last night, you've got to be more humble than a blade of grass. And you've got to be more tolerant than a tree. And you've got to be ready to offer respect to others and not expect any honor for yourself. That's also very tough. But if you can do this thing, to kirtaniya sadaharihi. This is the person who's able to chant. Is it answering your question? Anything else? Yes.
Is there a difference between Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi, Yogamaya, Parashakti, Vrinda Devi, or for what practical purpose, from our point of view, we can club them all together? Maybe there is some technical difference?
Yeah, there are differences. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the individual identity. There are differences. But, you know, in the broadest sense, you can say there's only 2 energies, right? There's Yogamaya or Mahamaya. So it's like somebody, you know, in the material world, there's a counterpart is also there. Somebody asks, how many gods are there? Somebody says there's only 1 God, and somebody says there's 3 gods, and somebody says there's, you know, 33 gods, and somebody says there's 33 million gods, and the answer is yes. You know? So, yeah, it's like that.
A simple question, at what point of time does Nand Maharaj get to know that Krishna is not his son?
Dharmaraj?
Nand Maharaj.
Oh, Nanda Maharaj. No, he doesn't, he never finds out.
At the very end, when Akrura visits, then at that point of time, doesn't he get to know, like when he's going that?
No?
But then, how would he leave him there at Kansa's place? The fight is going on.
You're talking about when Akrura takes Krishna away from Vrindavan into the hands of Kamsa, whom Nanda knows will kill him. Yeah, no, Nanda Maharaj was obligated. Acharyas take great pains to explain this. That how can he do that? It's kind of like, you know, put yourself in Maharaj Shantanu's shoes. You're just newlywed, and now you've got a baby. And what does she do? She takes him and chucks him into the Ganga. So, you know, the husbands regularly feel like their wives are doing something like that. They just can't understand. Well, what is she thinking? You know, that's why these stories are there, just to help us to become more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, etc., etc. But Nanda Maharaj was obliged, because Krishna also had some good arguments, Krishna Balaram. Their parents are there, we have to, you know, they're our real parents, and Kansa's going to kill them if I don't go there. So what's he supposed to do? And Krishna also said, I'm coming back in just a few days. And so, you know, and Nanda Maharaj is also going, some of the way at least. And then, you know, it was a tough situation. There's a lot of details, we don't have time to dilate on everything. But Nanda Maharaj was obliged. Yashoda, that wasn't her opinion. She was mad at him. She didn't agree. He understood that he had to let Akrura take them. Otherwise, it's a hopeless situation. But, you know, and he couldn't do anything about that. There was nothing he could do. He had to let them go. And Yashoda also knew that, but being a woman, she was not processing it rationally. She was processing it emotionally. And so she could never really accept. And it was a big fight. these are things that we can't understand, because let us understand first that, I'm not this material body. Let us first control our tongue and, all these things we have to go through. But these are very, very, very high things, and they are difficult to understand. The explanations are given, but can we understand those explanations? This is the thing. These are high things, beyond all of us. Rupa Goswami, I think, or maybe it's Raghunath Das Goswami, I don't remember, in Stavavali, or maybe it's in Stavamala, one of the two. He's glorifying Krishna in so many ways. He's glorifying this Gokula Vrindavan Leela also. And then finally, in the end, it is every poet has his chap, right? So, he signed all his poems in the name of Sanatan. So in the end, he finally also says, but who am I to talk about any of these things? Rupa Goswami says this. So, we can't understand a lot of these things, but it is explained such that Nanda Maharaj he didn't really have a choice. He was obligated. And what to do? All right. Nothing else? Then it's late. We should stop now. Thank you all very much for listening patiently. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. ISV. This is ISV applause. Yeah, we didn't finish. Maybe some other time we can finish. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevascha paritanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Mukunda Prabhu. We will now be serving prasad.